And I call this meeting to order. It is the 12th of January, 21. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, and I hope you had a great new year, and your expectations for this new year is hopefully better than what our expectations for 2020 was. But we've made it. We've made it this far. The vaccines are out. I hope several of you that are 65 and older have already received their vaccine, or at least got an appointment to get your vaccine, and we'll follow up. So I want to start with our prayer this morning, and I'll do the prayer if that's okay. Today, and if you'll bow your heads, please. Today, we pray that we receive your special blessings because we are committed to be a real service organization to help humankind. May each of us in our daily routine come to know the joy of caring and sharing with others, not as fortunate as we are. May our motto that includes serving, caring, and sharing be for us life in service. Amen. Amen. Al, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Al. So Dr. Payne is, as you know, is an award-winning cyber coach, and he's an author. He's been on TED Talks as a speaker. He's the founder and director of the Center of Cyber Operations Education at UNG. I won't go through all of this because some of it you read, but Dr. Payne is a certified information system security professional and a certified ethical hacker. So I hope that means he doesn't hack, but he teaches us what to look for. He has written over $44 million in successful grants for the workforce development, technology, and cybersecurity. And he has trained over 50,000 students in his online courses on coding and ethical hacking. And I know coding is the big buzzword now in all colleges. He's also the first department head of computer science at UNG. And he enjoys working with the young and the old because he has been working with K through 12 schools. This might be good, Beth, for you as well to have him introduced at your school. He's done that worldwide to promote computer science and cybersecurity education. And he and his wife live in Atlanta. His wife's name is Bev, and they have 2 sons. Dr. Payne, I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Lona. I appreciate it. And thank you. And thank David for all the help getting set up for today. Thanks for the invitation to come speak. I'm always glad to come back to a Rotary Club and speak and share a little bit because I'm impressed with how well our Rotary clubs in the area give back and how they take that service mission seriously. So thank you guys for the opportunity to share something that I hope will be helpful for all of you on the call today, as well as all of you who will be watching a little later on YouTube. So I'm going to share my screen. It should take just a second here. There we go. Everybody able to see that all right? I'll just take a thumbs up over here. Good. All right. I saw a head nod. Thank you. So my topic for today is cyber threat intelligence and you. So I work in cyber threat intelligence here at the University of North Georgia over our Center for Cyber Operations Education, preparing about 1,100 young men and women who are going into the cyber workforce in various capacities. We produce about 100 second lieutenants for the U.S. Army and Army Reserve and National Guard per year. And then we produce hundreds of computer science majors and young men and women who go on to do great things in our communities, in businesses, and in nonprofits throughout the region. So today I want to share with you a little bit about what cyber threat intelligence is. So first of all, cyber is just, there are 2 sides to cyber. Cyber defense, which is keeping the bad guys out or noticing when they're in. We had a terrible hack, of course, over the Christmas break. Over the holidays, you may have heard of something called the SolarWinds hack that found hundreds of government networks and, of course, tens of thousands of private networks that had been hacked. It looks like it was by the Russians. Our State Department has put that information out, as well as FBI and NSA and other government organizations. But being able to detect when an attack has occurred is getting tougher and tougher. That's why it's so important that we prepare young men and women, and we prepare business people like yourselves for cyber defense. Cyber operations is what our military students and our intelligence community students get to go on to do. We produce about a dozen NSA employees and NSA interns per year out of our cyber program. And then, of course, lots of other government agencies from FBI, CIA, all the way to our military and then private industry. But our intelligence community and our armed services graduates are the only ones who get to work in cyber operations on the countermeasures side. That means sometimes they even get to hack back against an adversary. And that's a really important set of skills these days. Cyber defense and cyber operations are what we train our young men and women for. And that's just, cyber just means anything that has data or information stored on it. Anything that has compute power, that includes your cell phone, it includes your smart television, it includes all those devices listening around you, from an Alexa to your Siri to you name it. And then networks, that's your home network, that's your business network, that's our government networks. A threat is just anything or anybody who wants to cause harm and has the capability. So we have advanced persistent threats like Russian hackers in the SolarWinds hack, Chinese hackers who got tons of information from our medical and insurance companies over the past few years, all the way down to cybercrime. And cybercrime has become really profitable, especially with ransomware. I'm sure many of you have heard of ransomware before, where they lock down your computer, where they threaten to either steal your files or release them to the world if you're a big business. We're going to talk about ransomware in particular because that's been one of the biggest threats. And I want to give you some tools that will help you keep safe from ransomware and from other similar scams and attacks online. And what this is all about, cyber threat intelligence. The intelligence piece is evidence-based knowledge that helps you take action. So I don't just want to give you information. I want to give you knowledge that helps you take action. And so that's my goal here today. So just a little background about the University of North Georgia. I know we have several alumni on the line. I'm proud to see some faces that I've seen around alumni events. Thank you so much for being here today and learning a little bit about where UNG has come in the past several years. We have actually had a computer science program since 1984. So we're going into, what will this be? We're about 40 years into this, which is pretty cool. And since 2004, we've had a computer science degree with a cyber concentration. So we have gone from around 300 students just a little under 10 years ago to more than 1,100 students in computer science, information systems, and cybersecurity. We have a Bachelor of Arts in Strategic Studies with a cyber concentration, a graduate certificate. Lots of opportunities for people to engage in cyber, no matter what their major. We have the cyber minors, with 2 different minors in cybersecurity, plus that graduate certificate for when students graduate, so they can add it on to their accounting, add it on to their finance, add it on to their business, add on to their science or math or any other degree here at UNG. We began a BS in cyber specifically just a little over 2.5 years ago, and now we have 270 majors as of this semester. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about UNG is that we teach 8 Department of Defense strategic languages. Those are languages like Russian, Chinese, Arabic, languages that you can picture coming in really handy today in the world, both in the intelligence and military communities, and of course in the business community. And our students get access to NSA internships and DoD scholarships. We also have something, if you have young people, either at home or in your circle of influence that might be interested in learning more about ethical hacking and cybersecurity. We provide a 9-day residential high school summer program in ethical hacking that's been funded by the NSA over the past 5 years. We'll pass actually $500,000 this year with this summer's camp. Our goal is to create awareness and generate interest among high school students in those cybersecurity careers. We know that there are tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of jobs in cyber right now that are not filled because there aren't enough qualified applicants. This gives young people a chance to get a certification before they even graduate high school. So they study the Certified Ethical Hacker curriculum, and then with a little extra study after they leave the camp, they can even sit for the Certified Ethical Hacker exam. In the past, we've gotten a chance to take a trip down to NSA Georgia down in Augusta. Most people don't know that there are a little over 7,000 employees at the NSA facility down in Augusta, in addition to our Army Cyber Center of Excellence down there at Fort Gordon. We also have a cyber leader development program, especially for our cadets, but we're expanding that this year to include more civilian students as well. They get to do competitions, conferences, and certifications. We call them the 3 C's. In addition to their coursework, they compete in about 25 competitions per year. They attend some of the biggest industry conferences, both live and remote this past year. And then they pursue professional certifications so that they are qualified on day one to hit the ground running for your organizations and for our military and other companies. And these are real world skills. I talked about ransomware a little bit earlier. We actually train young men and women to take apart ransomware, to disassemble this criminal ransomware that's been going around the world, infecting machines, locking hospitals, locking the entire city of Atlanta just a couple of years ago. If you remember, it cost them over $17 million to replace all those systems that got locked down. There were court dates and court documents that were lost. There were police evidence files lost as a part of that hack. So ransomware is a really serious problem in the world today. And our students learn the tools that it takes not only to disassemble that and take it apart, but to sometimes even get your files back without having to pay, and then detecting that and keeping it out of corporate and government networks. To give you an idea of how good our students are at this, we were the #1 team in 2019, and we are currently the #1 team in the USA for a second year in a row in the biggest cyber ops competition that the NSA puts out there. It's called the NSA Codebreaker Challenge. We were in the lead last year, or we finished the competition in the lead with, I believe we had about 160, 170,000 point advantage over second place Georgia Tech. It's okay if you came from the #2 school. They're also a great place here in Georgia. We're really proud to have 2 Georgia schools at the top of a list of over 500. In last year's competition, 532 universities competed. You can see Oregon State, Cincinnati, New Mexico, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M are a little further off the screen there. But to have UNG and Georgia Tech #1 and #2 for the last 2 years running, that's a really great thing for our state. It's a really great thing for our students. So I want to share a little bit of cyber threat intelligence that may be interesting for our members on the call today. Everybody knows that identity theft is a growing problem. 9 million incidents a year, according to the FTC. 19 people fall victim to identity theft every minute. And it costs somewhere around $500 and up, and about 30 hours to resolve for an average case. Some cases can take up to 400 hours to clean up if they get multiple accounts. Wire fraud is on the increase, and this can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'll tell you one very sad case that we had, well, we've had a couple of disturbing cases of wire fraud. One of them, the business email of an attorney's office that did closings for real estate had gotten taken over, and they didn't know that somebody was in their system. So when they sent out an account string for a closing for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a real estate transaction, the hacker sent an email immediately after, said, oh, we got one of the account numbers wrong in there. Make sure you send it to this address, or this wire to this account. And unfortunately, the individual wired the money to that account. And if you know anything about wire transfers, after 72 hours, there's just nothing that can be done. So nobody caught it for 3 days. That means that those hundreds of thousands of dollars are gone for good, unfortunately. In most cases, you're not able to get that money back after 72 hours when it's a wire transfer. If you know on your credit card, you have near zero liability. For most cards, it is zero liability. If somebody uses your card without your authorization, you get all of that covered. It's a $50 limit liability for most debit cards. But if you give someone access to your account, if you willingly hand over money to a con artist, that can be really difficult to work out with your bank. You have to file a police report. It's much more difficult. And if you ever have wire fraud, if there's someone wires money out of your account, transfers that money electronically, then you can be out that money after 72 hours, and even your FDIC insurance won't cover you. So that's really important information. I want to talk to you about a couple of things that you can do to be a little safer. A lot of identity theft in the past has been from people that you know, but we're seeing more and more incidences of people being victims of identity theft because they pick up a phone call and answer one too many questions to a scammer who's pretending to be an insurance person or a federal agency like the IRS or Social Security. Just had one of our alumni call earlier this week thinking that they'd been scammed by one of those Social Security scams. Usually, Social Security does not call you. The IRS does not call you. They send you things by mail. In this case, he was called by Social Security because he had just applied for his Social Security. So there are some rare instances where you may actually get a phone call. They were calling to follow up on some information. And he was able to contact the Social Security Administration directly at the right number and make sure that the person who had called yesterday was in fact a representative from the Social Security Administration. But be very careful, be very skeptical, even feel free to hang up the phone and call the number that you know is the IRS. Call the number that you know is Social Security. Don't rely on your caller ID because they can spoof that. They can fake their caller ID to make it look like the 1-800 number for IRS tax payments, look like a 1-800 number for the Social Security Administration. So don't rely on your caller ID. Say, hey, I will give you a call in just a few minutes. Let me go online, get the phone number, and call you back. I'll just verify that you are who you say you are. It's no problem if they're really one of those administrations. They'll understand. If they say, oh, no, you don't want to get off the phone with me, you absolutely do. Trust me, go with your gut. And just it's better to be skeptical and be safe than to not. You can protect your devices with just better settings, not downloading too many apps on your phone, on your laptop. Back up your files. We have free cloud backup for a lot of things, or very low cost cloud backup for some of your most important things like pictures. If you think that iCloud is too expensive at $2.99 a month to back up those pictures of your grandkids or your children or your vacation, if you ever lose your phone or drop it in the water or any of the other terrible things that can happen, you'll wish that you'd spent that $2.99 for a few months. That's $36 a year. So there's some very low cost backup options for the things you care about most. You don't have to back up everything, just the things that you don't want to lose. Be careful with spam and phishing emails and just know what you're downloading online. It's really important to shop safely. That means almost never clicking through an advertisement in Facebook or Instagram or any of those other websites that we all use probably too often. If you see a price on there that's just too good to be true, there's a really good chance that it is too good to be true. Facebook especially does a very poor job of screening out scammers because they sell so many ads at such a low rate. They just let almost everybody get into the platform. So be very careful. If you find something that you like, go out to Amazon or go out to another site that you trust and that you use often and see if you can find a similar product for a similar price. If it's way too cheap, there's a good chance somebody, usually in China, but just about anywhere in the US or in the world, is offering something at a price too good to be true, and you'll get something either that wasn't what you ordered, or they will get your credit card information and do something fraudulent with it. Protect your children, your grandchildren, talk to your kids, talk to your older family members about online safety. It's a good idea to just look at each other's devices. Share your device with your kids. Say, here, you can look through and see if it looks like I've done anything dangerous lately. That level of transparency can be hard to establish starting out, but if you start that way with your kids from the beginning, that's a really smart way to handle things. We even have our 12-year-old's computer out in a main room just so that we help him stay safe. He keeps him accountable, keeps us accountable. He's always got access to our computer as well. So we try to keep things safe for them, especially if you have young children around. Monitor their social networking. Just keep in touch with your kids. Just like you will if somebody comes over to your house in the neighborhood, you want to know who your kids are hanging out with. You want to know who your kids are talking with online. It's good to start that practice earlier. And always report cyberbullying. Report it to the school. Report it to the authorities if it gets threatening or if there's any real danger. And just become privacy aware. Ask who's asking, what are they asking, why do they need it? And if it's email, I say when in doubt, throw it out. If it's a text message, don't respond to a text message. A government agency or a real reputable business will not only communicate with you through text message, so delete or even block those with one of those blocker apps like Truecaller or one of the others that in the App Store. Just don't overshare. One thing that I tell people that's pretty basic is don't post your vacation pictures while you're still on vacation. Wait until you get back home to brag about that beautiful vacation you had. It's great to show everybody where you've been once we finally get to go on vacation again. But you don't want to advertise, even among your friends and their friends' friends, contacts, that you're away from your house. Simple things like that. We had a case recently where a famous person was in the hospital and their house was broken into because somebody had let it be known that they had coronavirus or they were in the hospital. They were away from their home. So be careful, don't overshare, especially on social media. Your friends may be very trustworthy, but you don't know who their friends all might be, and they might have accepted one of those fake contacts. People reach out pretending to be other people all the time. If you're already friends with somebody and you get another friend request to become their friend, make sure you look to see whether they have all the same contacts as you. There's a good chance that that's a scammer trying to get into a social network. And do use some hard passwords. I tell you, use a password manager is a really good technique that a lot of people are using these days. I use a password manager because I have over 100 different passwords just related to work, plus all my personal passwords. So I use random long passwords that I don't even know. I keep one long passphrase for my password manager, one long passphrase for my email, and I don't remember any of the others because they're long random strings that nobody can break. And then fix problems quickly. Check your bank statement at least monthly. I have some people who check their bank statement almost weekly. That's not a bad thing for sure if you have the time. And then report cyberbullying, harassment, and hacking. A little bit of good news is, like we mentioned, financial institutions will limit your loss, so you don't have very much liability for credit and debit card transactions, but wire transfers, you need to be aware that if you have money wired out of your bank account, you have a clock ticking for 72 hours. Your bank can still dispute that, reverse that transaction. But after that 72 hours, it can be difficult or nearly impossible. We had a person who answered a message online. There was a pop-up on a website that she visited that said, your computer's been infected by ransomware. Click here to scan it. Well, she clicked there and she entered some information. And within seconds, somebody called her on that phone number. And they said, this is Microsoft. We're calling to help you get rid of this ransomware. I need you to give me some account information. And so she gave her password. Well, once they had her password, they had what bank account she had, because that was in her email. She had her bank statement sent by email. And before you knew it, she had given them her account information to withdraw some money to pay for their services to get rid of this ransomware. It was all a scam from the beginning. She was never really infected. She actually just had a pop-up that said she was infected. And when she called that 800 number or clicked through that link, then the person on the other line wound up wiping out both her checking account and her 401k. She gave over her contact information because the hackers were draining her bank account. She could see after she had given what she thought was Microsoft access to accounts. So they said that they needed about $5,000 to be able to go after them and get that money back for her. Unfortunately, that was all a scam. And so before she let anybody know, it had been 3 or 4 weeks and she was out tens of thousands of dollars, most of her life savings. So please be careful. And if you have somebody in your organization or in your close family network that is really good with computers, with cybersecurity, if you ever have one thing like this happen, admit it early. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. We all feel bad when we get taken advantage of, but you wouldn't be ashamed to report if somebody beat you up on the street because it's not your fault. It's the same thing. If somebody steals money, scams you, it is not your fault. You're the victim of a crime and you need to let somebody know, report it as quickly as you can. Your bank can usually help you if you let them know quickly that you believe you've been the victim of a scam. And if it turns out it's a real organization, a real transaction, then there's no harm in checking. but you need to do it quickly. Law enforcement is doing better, but we're still really tough. If there's no violent crime committed, it's really tough for a police department to track down where that money went. We've had a few cases where the police tried to help it going through multiple wire transfers. They saw money going to California, New York in one case, but as soon as it went to Malaysia, they lost the trail and of course couldn't follow it any further. And the FBI has a fraud report site, but that 72-hour clock is really important. So the most important thing is you can help limit identity theft and financial fraud by just being more personally aware. Know that you are a target. That is part of cyber threat intelligence, is recognizing there's a threat out there. And then knowing that you have some rights to protect yourself. You don't ever have to give out your information, even to the IRS. They will come after you in writing and with certified letters. The Social Security Administration will always follow up by mail. So you're not going to be in trouble for not sharing your information over the phone, trust me. So just be more email aware, back up your files, check those statements often, be privacy aware, don't share. Be careful about social engineering. You know, we want to help people, we want to give them information, we want to be friendly online, and we respond to psychological triggers like fear and urgency. But if somebody is trying to scare you into giving some information to them because it's really urgent, that should fire a red flag, a big red warning light in your mind. Hopefully it always has, but from here on out, for sure. Be willing to hang up the phone and say, I tell you what, I'm going to call you back at the main number and I'll just ask for you. Is that all right? And if they say no, hang up. If they say yes, then you hang up, you call the main number that you know by looking it up online, and then ask for that individual back. And then use long, hard passphrases. Multiple words is much better than scrambling up lots of dollar signs and @ symbols and a short password. If you'll use a 4 or 5 word passphrase, maybe the first word of 2 or 3 of your favorite songs or something that you can remember really easily, and use that as your password for your password manager, and then a different long password for your email that you don't store in that password manager. Then you'll be safe both for all of your passwords that are long, scrambled, complex things that your password manager can scramble and set. And you'll keep your email out of your password manager just in case you ever forget and need to reset one of those other passwords. It goes to a separate place. It goes to your email account, and you keep that one safe and separate. And then just do those software updates at least once a month. What I tell my students is when you're about to pay your bills, do your Windows updates first. Update Office. Do your updates for your browser. Update Chrome and Firefox. If you'll update before you go online, before you go in to pay your bills, or before you go to buy something on Amazon, that just helps make sure that you're going to be less likely to get taken advantage of. And then consider a separate standalone machine for any financial transactions if you work with a lot of important data. And always talk with your kids. Talk, talk, talk. Communicate, educate, observe, and discuss. I've got a few tips in here for businesses and for organizations that I'm going to send to Lona and to David to pass around to everybody in the group, and so that you can post them up. So I won't go through them one-on-one. I really want to take just a couple of minutes, if we have time, for some questions, and let you know that we also have students who are available to help if you need interns for your organization. We have a terrific internship coordinator, Miss Elaine Fitzpatrick, and she's always willing to help a business find an intern to come and do some work on the IT side, on the cybersecurity side, to help you out in your company. And she can even hook you up with a student who could do some tutoring or some basic help to get you more secure individually. So if that's all right, I'll take a few questions from the team. Thank you so much for being here on the call with me today.
Thank you, Dr. Payne. That was all very, very good for the beginning of a new year. And it looks like our warfare has changed from, you know, all the other armies and stuff like that now to computers and cyber. And now, you know, we have all of this COVID. So our world is changing quicker than we realize. I have personally, I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say, I've been on trying to sell a couple of things on Craigslist and was scammed. And I did it twice and both times was scammed. And so I've completely removed myself from that that area of trying to get rid of some things, because I thought, you know, if it's happened to me twice, I'm not going to go back there. I'll give it away before I go through that again. So any questions for Dr. Payne on his subject? Bill? You're muted, Bill.
Sorry about that. We're learning,
Okay.
you know, us more mature people don't get this right away.
No.
I appreciate it very much, Dr. Payne. And I was scammed. I mean, I was on Facebook and said, yeah, I'll buy this. Usually, thank goodness I used my American Express. They were wonderful in getting my money back. But that's beside the point. I have McAfee as a security system, and it uses a VPN. Can you go over VPNs, and are they good? Are they bad? And
Sure.
I'll leave it at that.
If you're at home, you don't have as much need for a VPN. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you travel at all, yes, a VPN is really important. If you use your hotel Wi-Fi when you've got your laptop or even your phone out with you, you are exposing everything that you do through that computer to everybody else who's in that same hotel on that same network. So it is a really smart idea. A VPN just scrambles, encrypts your communications from your laptop to any website. You've already got really good security for Amazon and other websites, but if you go to your email, if you go to your work, if you go to lots of other websites, you don't want somebody able to access your communication, your information. A VPN just gives you that same level of security that you expect at Amazon for everything that you do while you're traveling, while you're away, using even the Wi-Fi at the coffee shop, at the school, at the library, any place that you might go. We got Chick-fil-A here in town that has great Wi-Fi. Our students go over there and use it sometimes. Having a VPN is really important if you do that. So that's a great question. Thanks, Bill.
Great question.
And I saw one up here, Kip.
Another question? Oh, I see that. Okay, our next question.
I need to ask concerning privacy on a phone or any kind of device, because, you know, for example, with the iPhone, when you're making a phone call or dictating or making notes or whatever, there's a little light that comes on and they can hear you, whoever they are. But that's Alexa, that's Siri, that's the phone. And of course, advertisements come up depending on what you've talked about. If you talked about a marble table, then your ads come up for a marble table. And everybody thinks that's harmless because it's an ad, but we don't know where the information is going. Where is our voice going? Who's listening? And how can we stop that? Or can we?
That's a great question. Thank you. For Alexa and all of the Echo Amazon devices, they're awesome to have sometimes around to listen to music or the weather, but you can actually set it so that it doesn't store, and then you have to dig through the settings up on Amazon to find, you can actually listen, and that's a little creepy the first time you do it. I'll go ahead and warn you. You'll hear yourself, you'll hear your kids, you'll hear your grandkids, and their recordings are up there on Amazon if you don't turn this off. You go through your account. Tell you what, I may be able to add a slide with the steps because it's about 6 or 7 menus deep in your Alexa security settings at Amazon, and you can only do it through the website. You can't do it through the device itself. You can't say, Alexa, stop listening to me. But you can go to Amazon and you can change those privacy settings so that it stores no recordings. The only benefit to storing any recordings is that it gets better at listening to your voice. When I'm at home, sometimes my Phantom County accent comes out. So I had left that on for a little while until I went online and saw my kid's voice saying, Alexa, what time is it? Or Alexa, turn on so-and-so on our Fire TV. So that goes for your Fire Stick television. It goes for your Alexa Echo Dot. It goes for any Amazon devices you use. And then for Siri, you can actually turn off Siri. If you're not the kind of person who always says, Siri, call, you can actually disable Siri so that you don't use Siri on your Apple device. That's not a paranoid thing to do at all. With Apple, I know that you can request access to all of the recorded information because we've actually had a few court cases where people have subpoenaed records from Apple or Amazon or others because a crime might have been committed and maybe that device was on and listening. So there's some real cases like that out there. We actually have a person, an attorney down the hall who's done some research with us on those. So turn off those devices you don't use. I turn off Cortana. You may not know that your Windows laptop has a listening assistant if you set it up by default, but you can turn off that voice assistant, Cortana in Windows. You can turn off Siri and limit any apps that have access to Siri. And then with Amazon, of course, part of the appeal of those devices is you can say search for, and your TV searches for, but you can at least tell Amazon to stop recording or stop storing those recordings in your account.
That's a great question, Kip. That was on my list as well, because I've noticed my things are popping up everywhere I go, on my phone, everywhere. It's like, that's what I was just looking for.
And
So that's great.
That for sure. Thank you.
Let me ask one question, and then we'll take one more if we have a minute. What are the ages for your summer program, Dr. Payne?
We take incoming or rising sophomores through seniors. So anybody by fall of 2021 who will be a sophomore through a senior in high school are eligible to get the full funding for that camp. If they apply and they're just under that limit, so if you've got some middle schoolers or some rising freshmen this year, if they will apply to our site, we will actually send them a free course, a video course on cybersecurity. Everybody who applies gets access to that course for free. It's actually one of my courses that has about 10,000 students in Udemy, but it's a free video course of about 10 or 12 hours of video on cybersecurity, some hands-on hacks that they can do for themselves. They can actually create a phishing email for themselves and see how easy it is for an attacker to trick them into thinking it's Facebook or Twitter, telling them their account's been hacked. So rising sophomores through seniors, we're able to cover under the NSA grant. It's 100% free because it's paid for by NSA. They want more young men and women to understand these skills and be able to protect themselves and to be interested to work in government and industry and cyber.
Perfect. Any other questions? One last question. Anyone else?
Did you have one? Yeah.
Beth? We need to unmute you, Beth. There you go.
Yeah, I wanted to see what would be some of your top suggestions for protecting our senior citizens.
I think that's a terrific question, Beth. Thank you. I think the most important thing is to communicate with people you care about. My wife had an aunt who was scammed out of some money in almost exactly the same way I shared with you about the fake pop-up or the phone call. It's really easy for a senior to get tricked, just like it's really easy for our kids to chat with the wrong person online. So talk with especially people who are older and have limited outside contact. Right now with COVID, we have so little human contact out there. Let them know that they can call you or email you and ask you if it might be a scam, or if they think they might have answered the phone and given too much information. If they're the least bit suspicious, let them know that you or your kids, a 12 to 15-year-old is a great person to ask, was that a scam? Because a lot of times they say, oh no, I can't believe you did that, Mom or Dad. Yeah, that was definitely a scammer. But just to be there for them, and then check with someone, pardon me, knocked out a couple of things over here in my office. Check with if you don't know whether it might have been a scam or if they might have been taken advantage of, you can reach out. Hopefully you've got someone in your club who's an IT person, or you've got someone in your family who works with computers that you trust to ask those questions. It's better to ask someone, even someone in law enforcement. It's better to ask and then try to help them whenever they do run into a bad case like that.
Great. Thank you again, Dr. Payne. This has been so informational sharing that we take for ourselves, our family members, our businesses. We will probably be looking at this YouTube. If you will share that on the Amazon, I've noticed that my people that put in my stereo system and all that, I'll say something about, well, do you have Alexa? Oh no, they won't even have one in their house. So I'm thinking, they don't trust it, and we need to be able to, at least turn off that information sharing.
I'll add that to the last slide, and I'll send a fresh copy to you and David to post up for the site. Thank you both very much. Thank everybody for being on.
Yes, Dr. Payne, we always give a book to a library, and we have 2 schools that we partner with. Sugar Hill and New Holland. And so we will send a book. We will put your name and the date that you spoke, and then we present that, and they put it in their library each week. So we'd like to do that in your honor for you taking.
I am honored. That is a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all your knowledge, and I hope we don't have to call on you again, but you were so great in sharing information that we may want you to come back and do another program when all of our members come together in person. So,
and I hope to get to see you face to face someday.
I hope so too. Thank you, Dr. Payne. So do we have any club announcements? Any club announcements? Sonia, would you like to give us an update on COVID?
You know, I can't wait for the day that I say I have absolutely no news to give you about COVID, but of course, today I do. Today we have 337 inpatients in our hospitals. I am happy to say that that's not the most. Last week we had 363. So I don't think we're out of the woods by any means. This is far and away above our peak in the summer, which is 179. So it is really dangerous. You have certainly seen the news articles. We are full everywhere, but better than we were last week. So we are very excited about the vaccine availability. We're excited that we are able to offer our monoclonal antibody, which is an outpatient infusion treatment. We're offering that on the Gainesville campus, and it is showing some promise. We continue to offer remdesivir inpatient, and we're working to come up with an outpatient solution for remdesivir. We're working with the state to offer us a waiver to be able to offer that in an outpatient setting for those patients who qualify. Right now, it's really only allowed on the inpatient side, but we're trying to figure out how to make that available simply because there aren't any beds to do that inpatient. And like we said, we're opening up more and more slots for our 65 and over population to receive the vaccine. So again, we're really, really full, but we're trying to make every possibility available to treat our patients everywhere we possibly can. We've been just overwhelmed with support from the community, everything from cards and letters and videos to financial support, to food donations. It's just really been tremendous, and we're very, very grateful for all of our partners. And we can't wait to have Max back in the hospital supporting our staff and our patients. And I'm glad to take any questions that any of you have.
Yeah. Did you have a question, Kip?
Yes. Is there a number that, Sonia, that we could have to give to those we believe should be getting their vaccine and they're over 65?
So we have a website right now to sign up for any appointments, and that's on our main website. If people have questions about it, they can call their provider. But really, if we have a sign up, and you can sign up for a slot. If it's full, then just keep checking back, and you can get and as slots open up, they'll show up as available there.
Thank you.
And then Kip, the health department too has a sign up. So between the hospital and the health department, the numbers are always busy, but keep trying. And sometimes the health department, if they see you called, then sometimes they'll call you back. So, just tell them to keep calling. It's worth the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sonia. We hope those numbers continue to go down, and we hope more people will get vaccines, because in reality, that's what's going to help us get into a safe environment again and be able to get out and be together.
And wearing your mask and washing your hands and not gathering. I can't say those things enough. We still have to do those things.
That's right.
Even post-vaccine, until we've really flattened this curve.
Yes. Okay, so any other announcements for the club? If not, then I just want to remember and remind you that our next week's meeting, Al Trimley will be doing a meeting on membership. We're going to talk about where we are as a club, where we need to be, how we're going to retain our members, because all of this has changed. And so we have to make sure that we're getting people to join us. We have a new member, Maggie James. I don't think Maggie's on today, but I'm sure she will be next week from the Foundation, Hospital Medical Center Foundation. So we are gaining new members. It's slow, but good. Also, we have developed the raffle. Remember that everybody that attends the meeting today and the last one of the week, that's the month, the 26th. Not next week, Al, we will have a board meeting next week. No meeting next week. We will remind you, then Al will speak on the 26th. Everybody who's attended these 2 meetings for the month will go into a raffle, and then you'll get a $50 gift certificate to go to a restaurant in Hall County of your choice. And then the next 2 months, it's 100 because there'll be 3 meetings in every month. So with that said, I'm going to ask, is Kim Reichling still online? Kim? He might have had to drop off. He might have had to check with his patients. He had 2 of them. So Kip, would you lead us in the 4-way test?
I'd be happy to. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And is it fun?
That's right, Don. Yes. Thank you all for being here. And we will see you on the 26th. Board members will see you on the 19th. Have a great week. Stay safe.